This one's Aaron.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Can I do it instead? Can we trade?
Yeah, sure. What do you want to give me?
Well, because Hans's
No, I really
recap
don't.
Hans's recap would be a recap of the movie. Our recap would be and then they changed this from the show, and then they changed this from the show.
I do think I want to.
Yeah, no,
I actually do want to give Hans the recap because I will slaughter the recap.
No, I think that's fair.
I think we have to have we have to
This is
dedicate
gonna be like a tag team one.
Yeah, we're gonna have to dedicate like a separate section of this to how this is different from the show, because that could go on for a really long time, and we're here to focus
honestly,
on
a really long time.
we're here to focus on one part of it by one man.
Well, honestly, something I was actually
written, directed,
interested
and
in.
produced.
I was
Agree.
interested in potentially having here's the part where just all the critiques that you hear all the time for the last 15 years. Let's just get them out of the way. So, the same way with Seagal, when 5 episodes in, we're just we're gonna stop making jokes about his weight, and it's just too easy. So just
not worth
hey,
it.
for the Last Airbender haters, here's every critique that you've made. Okay, now let's just move on.
Now let's dive in.
And also just have a section, real quick lightning round. Here's the major things that they changed and why they maybe work, why they maybe don't work. This one I think is gonna actually have more sections, unlike our usual podcasts.
Yeah. So do we want to be professional podcasters and write that down somewhere? Put that.
We're gonna actually plan this out.
I do have a lot. I have actually
build an outline?
joke. I don't have an outline, but right now, no joke, single spaced. I have a 2 1/3 page notes.
Can I tell you boys something before we get really into this?
M Night.
Yeah, sure.
There was one thing about this movie I liked. One
forward
single
to hearing it.
time where I looked up at the screen and thought, "Oh, that's kind of neat." And then that's it. That's it. That's all there was.
Oh, Hans knows what it's like to be an avatar. Oh wait. Oh, we do need.
Oh yeah.
Thoughts from non-Bender. That's Hans.
Yeah.
The only Bender he knows is Bender Bending Rodriguez.
Flamey, my good Hotman.
What?
Man, that's season.
Only season
that's
3
season
bros know what that
3.
means.
Hans is gonna watch that.
Hot dogs with road. That's exactly what the nerds want.
A friend got burned.
Water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, Nickelodeon made a TV show which was and remains probably one of the top 5 greatest animated series of all time
That's subjective.
that Hans has not seen.
I'm getting some really serious looks.
But then
But then everything changed when American culture decided that a piece of media wasn't serious until it was in live action.
yeah.
And one man decided to just butcher this beautiful thing and try to condense it into an hour and 40 minutes. And so we have received The Last Airbender, written, directed, and produced by one M Night Shyamalan. And this may very well turn into a mega episode because we have some opinions, as does the rest of the entire world, about this movie. This is the movie. This movie is the reason that I agreed to do a Shyamalan season. I am a white guy in my 30s, and I must tell the world what I think of M Night Shyamalan's The Last Airbender. It is in my bones. I must express my opinion to the world.
Oh man,
This is my moment. I am Aaron.
Song. I'm Zach.
I'm Hans.
So I do think because it will affect everything you hear us say about this movie, we need to begin with our experience of the original 3-season animated series.
Zach, you drinking a PBR?
I am drinking a PBR.
Interesting choice.
Thank you. Now I just want to talk about the movie Blue Velvet, and there is a connective tissue there. I guarantee it. I promise. But that's not what we're here to talk about, and we cannot risk going off course at all.
No. So
We must
Zach,
be
what is
resolute.
your experience? Zach, what is your experience with the original animated series Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Oof, let me tell you. Okay, so, actually,
30 seconds.
Yeah, you have like a minute.
That's not enough time. Okay, so Avatar: The Last Airbender, that first came out.
Your experience with
2005.
it, Zach.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's getting there.
This first came out 2005, so I was 10 years old when the show first started coming out.
Okay, all right,
That's
all right,
the,
okay.
I'm
Basically,
giving you
the
context.
perfect age to watch this show.
Yeah, like this came out. This was for us.
Yeah.
So my experience came out. So I'm 10. I'm in like middle school or something. This is like I'm coming home. This like even though it's only like 3 seasons, like first season's 23 episodes. Like they had this thing on Nickelodeon like every single day. Like they were playing it. So I was getting home. I was watching this every single day. So it's one of those things that you just don't do anymore because now you like pull up the show, you stream it, it's done. And even if you really like it, maybe you'll like rewatch it. But like I'd come home, I watched The Great Divide like 40 times. Like I'm sure.
I'm sure I've seen that episode more than like most other episodes.
I've probably seen The Great Divide more than I've seen my wife. Like I was watching this thing every day. I love the show. I was obsessed. I was fanatical about it. I was watching it on TV. I was like subscribed. Here's a real confession. I was like subscribed to Nickelodeon magazine. If you don't remember this, Nickelodeon used to have a magazine. It was kind of like a kid-friendly Mad magazine because it had like joke articles and comics and stuff. They had published in there like a non-canonical Avatar: The Last Airbender comic. There was a competition. You could like submit a character, and like if you won, they would draw it into an issue of the comic. So I straight up just submitted like my OC Please Don't Steal to Nickelodeon magazine to try to have it published in like the non-canonical Avatar: The Last Airbender comic series. And he did not get in. Barely disguised Zach did not get in. They gave it to I distinctly remember one of the characters, they were like a cookie dough bender or something was like the joke, like
Wow.
which was funnier than anything I came up with. I'll give you that. So whenever they started promoting
Somebody's
this
dad
movie
helped him
around
on
like
that one.
2009 or so this movie came out when I was like 15. I was watching the trailers. I was watching the little stay tuned after this episode for a sneak peek of, the live action Last Airbender. And it was like a 5-second little teaser of like a really bad After Effects animation of like a person controlling water. Like I was there. I was sat in the theater and
You
I
were
was
there for
crushed.
it.
And then 15 years have passed since then. I am a man. I was a boy. I am a man now.
100 years passed, and Hans and I have discovered the new Zachary.
Oh my God!
podcaster.
15 years ago, this was.
Half of
We
our
were
lives.
15.
No,
Oh my
literally,
God!
like,
that is half of our
I
lives.
watched this movie and then I lived half of my life, and here we are now.
Oh, good God, we're old.
Okay, so that's.
That hurts.
Anything else you want to add to your context?
I mean, well, I'm sure more will emerge throughout the discussion. We're gonna unseat
So
some stuff, but that's
listener,
big fan back in the day.
Listener, keep all that stuff
I'm also a Legend of
in
Korra
context.
defender.
Everything Zach says, just keep all that in context.
Everything you're about to say, also keep in context.
Also, everything I'm about to say, keep in context. So I came on to Avatar: The Last Airbender actually a little late. I didn't start. I was a Cartoon Network kid. I was not a Nickelodeon kid. So I was Dexter's Laboratory and like all that
you were.
stuff. And it wasn't until a little bit later that I started watching Nickelodeon stuff. And Hans is like losing his mind right
That's
now.
good. Zach Stage waited until he was done talking, and I was shoving his face full of a donut, and it's like. This is every time. Like, you so desperately want to be Brad Pitt in Moneyball.
No, because then I'd be trying to eat while I'm talking if I was Brad Pitt. I'm not trying to be.
Yeah, he waited until he was done.
When I'm eating
I
food
know.
while talking. I get when I'm eating a snack while I'm done talking. I backed away from the microphone.
I know,
and I was
I know.
eating my cruller. This is such a non-controversial thing, and Hans has to make a big whoop about it.
It's just funny. 'cause
I drink
it's
my
so
PBR and he makes a
consistent.
comment. I eat my donut and he makes a comment. I have comment about everything.
It's just-
Always a comment.
I'm sorry.
Lord.
I'm
Hey,
sorry.
listener.
I'm
Hey,
sorry.
listener.
It's just very funny.
Hey, listener, if we can get one person to sign up for the Everything Plus tier, even just for 1 month, we will start producing like YouTube versions of this podcast.
Yeah, what's our threshold? If we hit like 15 subscribers, we'll upload video podcasts.
Sure. Yeah.
Those would be so tough to edit.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't be editable.
Actually, if you give us enough money that we can hire an editor, then I'll do
very
that.
different goal.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Anyway.
I'm sorry.
No, my experience of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So I came onto it a little late because I was a Cartoon Network kid. I was not a Nickelodeon kid until I was a little bit older, and I started watching Nickelodeon, and I fell in love with the show immediately. I loved it. So I started watching episodes as they were airing. I think season 2 is when I came on. So season 1, I originally watched season 1 like completely out of order.
Yeah.
Thankfully, season 1 is less sequential than season 2. It is still very much like you should watch it in order. Don't do what I did when I was like 11. But
To be,
you know,
that's
watch
literally
them in order.
impossible. You can't watch it randomly out of order now. You'll pull it up on like
Yeah.
Amazon Prime and like
You would have to go out of your way to
the
watch it
world
out
you
of
were
order now.
the world you were raised in is dead, Aaron. I'm sorry.
Isn't
It
that
is,
wild to think
yeah.
about sometimes though? Like no one will, so few people will have those experiences of you tune in and it's an episode you haven't seen or you don't know what's going on, and you either just have to deal with it or you have to turn it off.
No, Mom,
Like,
I
that
can't.
just doesn't happen
no,
anymore.
this
I
is
can't
the
do anything.
30-year-old guys talk about a cartoon show, not the 30-year-old guys talk about how old they are show.
I can't
That's
do
a different
anything
show.
Saturday night. Toonami's
No.
on. I need to watch Naruto at 8 p.m. No, now you just pull it up whenever you want. Literally anytime. I can watch it on my phone.
But Toonami was on, and it was Dragon Ball Z. I didn't really get into Naruto until later. But so I like watched season 1 out of order, and I was watching season 2 as it went on, and then eventually I saw season 1 in order, and then season 2 in order, and then I saw season 3 when it came out, and I was following it really closely. I was watching like behind the scenes stuff. I was watching like behind the scenes stuff about how like they did all the choreography and what all the different bending styles are based on, like the different kinds of kung fu that they're based on. And I was watching all this stuff, learning about it.
You watched like the areas that had the little pop-up fun facts throughout that.
Oh, I loved those
with the
ones.
little Nickelodeon
So,
splat logo.
okay, this is a super cool thing. Okay, I'm going to be the old guy talking about how like the world is dead.
You're-
So, this is something that TV used to do. At least Nickelodeon did it. I think Cartoon Network had a version of this too. Like they would
Disney 100%.
air reruns of shows that they were pretty confident basically everyone's seen at this point, and they're not getting new viewers to watch the show, but they would have like little did you know bubbles pop up, like commentary bubbles pop up throughout the episode, and you just get a couple sentences about what's going on frame and like why it was that way, or like, oh, the reason we never see this character again is because, or like this character was supposed to be a one-off, but they got popular and so we brought them back later, and it's like stuff like that.
But also they did little bits. There'd be little jokes. Like Appa would
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
steal the bale of hay and eat the whole thing, and they'd be like, "Did you know Appa did this because he's a big jerk to Momo?" Like it was like there's cute little stuff like that too.
yeah, it was great, and I loved tuning in for those. I loved watching those. So I was a huge fan of the show. When the movie came out, I wasn't following the movie super closely. I was skeptical of the movie. And then when it came out, everyone said it sucked. Everyone hated it. And so I never went and saw it. And I did not see it until I was in college.
Oh,
And a group of us who really
twist.
liked the show decided, you know what, we've never seen the movie. We just picked like a random Saturday night and we watched the movie and we all hated it. And so I watched this movie when I was in college. So that was like
interesting development.
10 or 11 years ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
developments upon developments.
Okay. So me, I was one of those idiot children that had to be different. So like Avatar: The Last Airbender was very popular, and so I didn't want to watch it. Like I distinctly remember that being my childhood. So
Still like that.
I've grown a little bit in the last 15 years, Zach. No, so I never saw it, and you all always talked about it, how much you loved it, and how great it was, and I thought that's cool, and I just never watched it. And at some point, maybe last year, I think Zach made a deal with me for something. I don't remember what. That I had to watch at least the first season, and I got I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7 episodes in, and then I fell asleep on the couch, and then I never picked it back up again. So I've
6
seen
or 7 in a row, like in one sitting.
Yeah,
You didn't have to watch the whole thing in one sitting.
Good
that's what I was
night.
doing that day. Aren't they? They're only like 10 minutes long or something, aren't they?
Like 21.
Yeah, but
minutes.
there are like 23 of them.
Yeah. No. So I
You
got
could
like
just
6 or
watch
7
it every
in.
Tuesday night at 7 when it would air. Like,
So I got like 6 or 7 and I fell asleep and I never came back to it. I liked it. It was cool. It was neat. I don't know. For a show targeting 10, 11, 12-year-old kids, it seemed like it was really interesting. That's all I got. That's really all I got. I never saw the movie. Heard that
wait,
everybody
hold on.
hated
There's
it.
no way you made it 7 episodes in. That would be the Winter Solstice Part 1, The Spirit World. You did not stop between a 2-parter episode.
I'm making up numbers. I don't remember where I left off. I told you I fell asleep on the couch. Like I got several episodes
This man
in.
didn't even make it to the Great Divide.
Probably not.
The weakest episode in the entire series, even though it's still a pretty good episode.
Nah, this guy, he hit King of Omashu and he said, I'm dipping, I'm done.
I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't remember. I told you I fell asleep. I had no
That's
problem
such
with
a good
it.
one. And that gets completely cut from this movie.
Okay, but that's,
I don't know.
That's fine. I get why there's no way that would fit in this movie. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so
just cut out all my ums and ers and stuff there. The bottom line is
Yeah.
I didn't have any problem with it, but I fell asleep watching it. I never picked it back up again. That's my experience. And then I watched this movie and I am angry to say
And you
the
will
least.
watch all of season 1 and we will record.
So-
we will have if you are subscribed to our Patreon at the Everything or the Everything Plus tier, there will be a Avatar Book 1 water discussion episode.
Yes, so I did. I agreed that once we got to this point, I would watch this movie. Because I'm like what do you say? I'm like the control case here.
Yeah.
So everybody
the
of our
control group.
generation grew up with this show. They love this show. It is universally agreed to be one of the best animated series of all time. Even though I joke about that not being the case because it makes you too angry. I understand that it's a phenomenal show and had a huge impact on all of our childhoods, except for me. I'm like the control group here. So I'm the one person that we know of in our circles that can say that I really am not that familiar with this universe, and I'm watching this movie first as my first
your first real
in-depth
exposure to
experience,
it, yeah.
and then I'm gonna watch the animated series, and I'm very
You're gonna
excited
start
for
it,
that.
like,
I think it's
tomorrow.
very funny.
I want you to start
And,
that
well-
animated series tomorrow.
And as angry as you are at the movie right now, you will retroactively become angrier. And so for that reason, because Hans is relatively unfamiliar with this, I'm hosting this episode. I will end up editing this episode. I'm going to give the recap over to Hans because I do think it will be impossible for either I or Zach to recap this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like we need to recuse ourselves, in the
Yeah, I'm too close to the issue.
Yeah.
I can't. Hans,
Go on.
I am actually baffled. I really am curious. What happened in this movie?
I will tell you what
according
happened.
to you.
I will tell you what happened.
I am
I'll tell you what
unsure
happened to
the
me
audience
while
is
I
supposed
watched.
to think happened.
I'll tell you what happened to me while I watched this movie. This movie could not get out of its own way fast enough. Like they had to move from beat to beat to beat to beat to beat so freaking fast because they had to cover what I'm assuming is roughly the first season of the show in one movie.
460 minutes of animated television.
Right. And so
And crunch that down to an hour 40.
right. So my version of this is going to be very different from what you guys are going to talk about. You're going to talk about it later. You're going to have
But
your own
that's what
section.
we want. We've seen the show, and so you made a valid point that a lot of this movie feels like, hey, you've seen the show, so we're hitting this plot beat and moving on. I want you, as someone who maybe half remembers 5 episodes, just tell us what happens in this movie. Disconnect from the TV.
Because I know what the movie wants me to think about during
we need
the movie.
Tabula rasa, just what happens in this movie, no additional
I don't know how many gaps I'm filling in when I'm watching it, just because I have seen the entire series like at least 5 or 6 times.
No, that's fair.
Because I'm watching this,
have all that
and I'm
in
like,
the back
do
of
they
my
even
head?
say that this happened, that he got frozen 100 years ago? Does that actually come up in the movie? Like those types of things that I just know.
No,
I don't actually remember if it covers.
Everything is happening one after another, rapid fire. And it's like they're telling you, you watch the show, right? You're all here in the movie theater because you watch the show. So you know what happens. So we're just going to go ahead and skip all this because you know what happened. And, forget the context. Forget anything that if you don't know the universe, you don't care anyway. So just forget about it. So they don't explain anything at all. I'm vaguely familiar with the concept. I understand the world, right? Like I've watched the first 5 episodes.
In the 2000, like in the 2010s. So you couldn't escape the general arc of the plot.
Exactly. Like I'm familiar generally with what's going on here, but the the stuff that they just like sort of hop and skip right over because of that's that whole idea. Like you get it, right? You're here for this movie because you know the whole universe, so we're not going to explain anything. That really, like, even if you are extremely familiar with it, that not explaining anything really hurts it. Like, you can't. The only way you can do that is if it has been so well established that you skip it entirely. Sort of like what's the Tom Holland Spider-Mans, where they just kind of acknowledge like Spider-Man, right? Moving on. But this doesn't go that far. They still run through all the same plot beats. Like, they still find him in the ice. They still take him back to the village. The Fire Nation still comes and abducts him, and then they go free him, and then they go on their merry way to have their adventures. Like, they cover what happens in the first whole episode in the first, 2 minutes of this movie. It is absurd. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't skip all the context and acknowledge that your viewers know what's happening, and still put it in there, but half-assed. It just doesn't make any sense. It was infuriating to watch. So yeah.
Give me your best approximation of the plot.
The plot,
and it can be 20 seconds, but just what are the main story beats? What happens chronologically?
Katara, Aang out finding food. No, sorry. Katara, Sokka, Suka. Is it Sokka or Suka?
Sokka in the movie. Well, then we have a whole section for baffling changes.
Okay, because all the names are not what I'm used to.
We're gonna skip it for now. Keep going.
Katara and Sokka are out on the ice hunting for food. They see Thing beneath the ice, so they decide they're out in the middle of the freaking ocean walking on ice, and they decide, you know what? I'm gonna dig down in this ice to get this thing out, and then they're like, oh, the ice is cracking. Run away. Wow, great. You grew up here, right? This isn't. Anyway. They find Aang. Aang gets kidnapped by Fire Nation. They rescue Aang from the Fire Nation. The prince, the exiled prince, has to chase them down and find them. And they go on their merry way. And then they take what I can only assume is episodes 2 through 19, and they blow through those in about 4.5 minutes. So they find a camp of imprisoned earthbenders, and they empower them to fight back against the Fire Nation. And I did see part of that in the show, and that made sense. What happens in this movie doesn't make sense. I have never in my life seen in any movie, animated or otherwise, such slow moving, pathetic, slow paced, terrible reaction time, but also really weirdly choreographed fight scenes in which everybody just waits for the thing that is coming to them, and then they react to it. It's just so, oh my god, it's awful. So they liberate the Earth camp, whatever, and then there's this montage that blows through about 30 seconds where they liberate all the other Earth camps. And then, oh god, I don't even remember, something, and they go and find the Northern Water Tribe, and the whole rest of the movie takes place there. And there's a war, and Aaron and Zach are both standing up. I don't. This is not good. This is not good radio. There's the war, and the war is bad. It's just nasty and stupid, and it took way too freaking long. This movie could have happened in about 14 minutes, and it wouldn't have made any difference. And in the end, he saves the day because he doesn't actually win the war. He just, gets real big and says, I could kill you if I want, but I'm not going to. And they all run away because that's how war works. You guys talk. This isn't interesting. I'm angry.
Okay.
This is pretty interesting, actually.
This is pretty fascinating.
This was bad. It was bad.
It was really bad.
It was really bad. This is not new. This isn't something new. This is what everybody agrees that this is bad. But my God, this was bad.
Here's something slightly new opinion.
Yeah.
This is very bad. I'm not coming in here to be a defender. I'm not being a revisionist. This is a very bad movie, as we've seen. This is very bad if you've never seen the show, just trying to watch it as a movie. Not good. If you're a fan of the show, even worse. If you were very excited for this, and not really a hot take, my take if you were very excited for this movie and you watched it when you were 15 years old, and then you spent the next 15 years of your life remembering it as like the worst movie you've ever seen, it's a bit better than you remember.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. I was shocked by
maybe
this
you've
when
seen
I
like
watched
49 Steven Seagal movies, so you've just your bar has been lowered. Like maybe it's just when you were 15 you didn't see enough terrible movies. It's not as bad as you remember if the last time
But
you saw this
also,
was
maybe
when you were
when
like
you were
18
18,
years old in the year
you watched a
2010.
lot of CinemaSins videos, and you watched like the Nostalgia Critic videos on this movie that convinced you it like killed your cat or
That
something.
it was like the original sin.
yeah.
Yeah, no, the internet
Okay, but-
determined this was the worst film ever made. And I am just telling you, it is not good. It is still very bad.
not.
It's not the worst film ever made.
Cinema can get much worse.
I need you to understand. I'm walking into this with the
understand.
least amount of context that a person can in this day and age. And I have in my notes on this screen beside me, I wrote down that this movie is very Seagal-esque in the way that not only does everything just sort of happen for no damn reason, it just sort of progresses with no link between what happened last, and they just drop plot points all over the freaking place, and they're just their plot holes just nonsense. We'll talk about it. But also, anytime anything happens, this movie, it's about benders, right? You know Avatar. It's about elemental benders. They can bend water and air and earth and fire and all that happy crap, right?
It's actually about friendship, but continue.
Okay, but a lot of it is about that, right? Like that's a core principle of the universe.
I mean, their friendship is expressed in kung fu that bends the elements, but
yes, I get it, but the action that takes place in that is a big part of it, right? It happens
huge,
in the first episode. I remember that from what I do remember before I fell asleep on the couch when I was watching the first season. And every time it comes up in this movie, which is often when it comes up, it is exactly like a Steven Seagal fight scene. The way it is choreographed, everybody just stands there and
there's a lot more
waits for their
athleticism on display than
there
a Seagal movie, by the way.
was, but
Yeah,
I'm
the main
talking about
character,
everything else.
he can
Everybody
move.
just stands there and waits for something to happen, and then they react. There is nothing about this that is like interesting or that draws you in. It's just there to piss you off.
Hans, I promise. I do not need you to convince me that it is terrible and I should hate it. It's a bad adaptation. I have seen the gif of the like pyramid of 6 dudes doing like a 15-second long Tai Chi routine to move the world's tiniest rock. Like I've seen that gif 400,000 times.
Yeah, and the guy they're
I
moving the
need you
rock
to trust
into
me.
stands there and waits for it to happen,
I
and then
need
gets
you to
flung
trust
across
me.
the
I
room.
understand. If you watch this movie, it will be bad. If you're rewatching it and you haven't seen it in a minute, it'll be bad. If this is your first time watching it, it'll be bad.
Yeah.
This movie is very bad. Hot take. I'm just saying, we all who were there in the trenches at the time, you were not. You immediately
In the
adopted
trenches.
darkness. We were born into it. Those of us born into the darkness.
No, I get it, but
we
you
know
started.
it was the worst movie ever. It's not the worst movie ever. It's
not.
Because here maybe this is another hot take, because this is the thing that does bother me. As a person, I'm not going to say I'm a bad movie expert. As a person who's seen a lot of bad movies, anytime I hear insert generic Hollywood blockbuster is like the worst movie ever, wrong. Like if the movie you saw had a budget of more than $50 million and you watched it in a movie theater, statistically speaking, it is like... I saw it last year. We went and saw The Joker for Ledu and we saw Megalopolis like back to back in IMAX. Those are like terrible movies. Wouldn't crack the top 10 of worst movies ever made. Like not even close.
No.
Not even within the hemisphere. Not even in the top 50. So what like there is just, it can get a lot worse.
Yeah.
I understand.
If
that.
you
I
watch
gave-
this and you think this is the worst movie you ever saw,
Hey.
you should watch some more bad movies. That's my
Okay,
advice.
I understand that, but you
I
have
think
to
here's a
take
way-
it in context.
Yes.
I'm
like-
giving context,
And I think that Zach and I have more context than you do on this one.
and I'm giving that context.
Fine.
Because I have been just submerged in the "this is the worst movie of all time" discourse.
Yeah.
And then I watched this as more of a fully realized adult. And I said to myself when I was about to write my Letterboxd review, you know what? It's not as bad as I remember it from when I watched it in college.
I think purely because I took notes. I have 2.5 pages of single space notes. Most of those 89, like 95% of those are bad. Like, hey, this is bad. Hear me taking a note about a bad thing. I do have some neutral to positive things to say, and there are movies that would have no neutral or positive things to say.
We've seen quite a few of those.
We've seen quite a few of those. It's also funny that you keep comparing this to a Seagal movie. I did take a note saying that I got some extreme Dune 1984 vibes from this, with like the pacing and the narration, with how much explanation they just have to put into voiceover, but also weirdly enough, how quickly it moves on from certain things. Like the Dune 1984 movie just speed runs like the second like 2/3 of that book. So I feel like it's the same way.
This movie speed runs the middle 3/4 of the show.
Like very much the same. I'm just like, we're moving that some of these parts are a really boring slog, and also some of these parts are going way too fast, and it all just has like this like last minute voiceover, like tacking it together. I was getting a lot of Dune 1984 vibes from this. And similarly, you should not have tried to fit this much stuff into that short of a movie. Same like core structural problem. Speaking of, let's the next item on our know agenda.
So that's kind of the recap of the movie.
Yeah.
This section we're calling all the usual complaints. It's all. I mean, if you just go online and type in "Last Airbender Shyamalan movie opinion," this is all the stuff you'll find. Pacing doesn't make any sense. Like it just doesn't work. The CGI is cheap and sucks. Yeah. Terrible.
Plot holes every step you take.
Plot holes every step you take, even though they had a fully fleshed out story to base the thing on, and very easily
a whole universe written for them, right for the picking.
Universe,
a lot. There. I'm not gonna say the actors and actresses are bad, but a lot of the choices in like character deliveries, like a lot of the decisions, very strange.
Yeah, the kung fu, technically impressive.
Very well choreographed.
I really need to know a behind the scenes of one of these like kung fu guys, like one of these earthbenders, because like they have to, like I need to know what they were expecting to be put onto the screen in post after they did their kung fu thing, because it is not what was put on the screen. Like I need someone to know, like when we were on set, they told us that we were going to just be like throwing like a bunch of really big rocks. They didn't tell us we were going to move one pebble after we did this whole routine. Like, I need to know what they were told.
Yeah, so I think... so we also have a section in our... We're kind of going off a rough outline for this one, because this episode is going to be a bear for us to put together. So we also have a baffling changes category, and these are kind of bleeding into each other. Usual complaints and baffling changes. I have some baffling changes that I want to hold on to.
Yes.
Because they're different than just... mistakes, like just bad stuff. They're like really intentional choices that made no sense. I think some of the casting is weird, although that might be baffling choices. A lot of the casting is really weird.
The only one that I noticed is Uncle Iroh. He's like a jolly fat old man in the show. He's like the comic relief, and in this, not that at all.
Well, it's more than
he played the guy that they got knocked it out of the park. Like he did a good job, but I don't think he wasn't
the thing with
the right actor for the role.
The thing that bugs me, he's a sleeper build. You don't take him seriously until because the whole.
Do you know why they call me the Dragon of the West? And then he just kills an entire building full of dudes.
Like he's like so cool. He's like the silly, goofy, just fat old man that likes to drink tea until he is like, actually, I'm the smartest, wisest, strongest, sexiest, like in the entire series, and he just like unleashes on like everybody, and you're like, oh, this dude rocks.
They kind of hint at that in this movie. They tap on that a little bit. Yeah,
so they don't have the first part at all.
I'm just like, oh, he just seems like a cool, tough guy.
I know. It's like this is the thing. I know. I'm sort of tacking on to what you're. I'm adding to what you're saying. But this is like a revelation to me. This is not anything new to you or probably to anybody who's listening to this. But for me, I was watching this and I was like, oh, that was kind of interesting, but that didn't make any sense.
No, basically everybody except Seychelle Gabrielle. So basically everybody except Seychelle Gabrielle and Dev Patel like is horrifically miscast and shouldn't be here.
Yeah, I thought Princess Yue that was really good actually.
Yeah. Well, they bring her back. She's in Korra. She voices Asami and Korra. Like they said, we want you for more Avatar: Last Airbender stuff. I think I'm sorry, Dev Patel, you deserve the world. You deserve so much better than this. I think actually Dev Patel's Zuko is one of the few things that actually does work. Okay, I'm sorry. We need to stay on.
Okay. Anyway, usual complaints. I don't know. Action just in general sucked. Even when there's not bending, they got like obviously these actors are athletically capable.
Yes,
like they're doing backflips and stuff. It's just that the backflip doesn't do or mean anything. Like it accomplishes nothing, and so I don't know why we bothered doing the backflip.
from what little I saw of the show, every like action that they take is
Every muscle twitch has a purpose.
everything
like,
is always
it all
followed up
matters.
with something, like it meant something. There was some reason that they did just about anything at all. And in this, it's just like a lot of arm movements for no payoff.
Yeah, I just thought like a guy with a bow and arrow would just murk all of these benders because he can get the arrow off before the benders
They're
can
just standing
accomplish
there
anything.
waiting for it to happen.
Like you just get shot. Yeah. What are the other usual complaints?
I don't know, because really all I can think of right now are the baffling changes that I just.
Yeah,
Let's just go there. Everybody
baffling
knows.
changes.
Everybody knows.
Baffling changes, all the casting, none of the casting made sense.
Yep.
They
Okay, wait.
did a lot of.
This isn't the worst baffling change, but it is right at the beginning. It is right at the start. Avatar: The Last Airbender has one of the most iconic, it's not really a theme song, but opening sequences. Like, fans
Oh,
will
they
still
just
just recite
changed the
it.
word.
That was my
But
first note. My
they
very
didn't-
first note.
They didn't keep it the same, and they didn't completely change it. What I kept thinking of is like, so if you're an AMC A-lister and you go to the movies and you see the Nicole Kidman opening, they put out that news story like 2 or 3 years ago, like, we're going to make more of them. We're making more Nicole AMC openings. And we went, cool. And then what happened was they just slightly
took, like,
edited,
the offcuts.
changed like half of the lines, but kept some of
Yeah.
it the same. And it's like, oh, I would have rathered something completely different, or you just kept the original. And that's just what happened
Yeah,
here.
okay,
is
now-
it communicates the same thing, both different words. And why'd you do that?
Okay, but now imagine you've been saying that Nicole Kidman monologue for 15 years.
Yes.
And you have the entire thing memorized, and it's
Yeah.
like a core
Like, people
memory
have this,
that
like,
you've shared
tattooed
with
on
some
their
of your
bodies.
closest friends. Like, you can recite both versions of it, because episode 1 has a slightly different version of Katara's opening monologue than the rest of the entire series. Like, you can just recite them, and you know them by heart. And then the movie begins, and you get like the benders come out and they do their like fight, like they
okay,
do their bending
okay.
dance, except there's no monologue yet, there's no
And you're like,
voiceover
okay,
yet.
Where's this going?
Okay, this is a little different. And then you get like almost the thing, except
close.
they take out information, they make it less useful. This was, you had a full pass to just do a monologue
copy
to
it.
explain the
Copy
story.
paste.
We need to cut a whole bunch of stuff for time. This is your chance to just do an info dump and everyone be okay with it. Mm-hmm. And you
Cheer
chose
on,
to
actually.
convey less information.
Yeah, no, it's like
I
hearing your favorite song, like the song you've been listening to ever since you were a kid, but just like pitch shifted up slightly, so every note is like the same, but the same amount off key.
Yeah. So that was just baffling right off the start. The bending doesn't work the same. I think we kind of mentioned that.
Yeah.
But it appears that the way bending works here is that you do a Tai Chi dance and then there's an effect. It's like
Yeah.
casting a spell in Dungeons
You have
and
to do a
Dragons.
specific set of movements to lead to like a predetermined 1 of 10 results.
Okay, but
Yeah.
not always. That was
But
my
not
problem. Not always. There
It's
are
very
some like
inconsistent.
when a particular reaction needs to happen because of like story reasons, like someone shoots a fireball at one of the Earth dudes, and the Earth dude just puts his arm up in a big like motion here, and a big wall of Earth pops up out of the ground to block the
Yeah.
fireball. That happens in the show a lot, but that's
whole
like
show.
the only. That's like the only time that happened in this movie. Everything
you
else is
immediately-
very slow
immediately have the
moving.
period-
No
the pyramid
reactions.
of 6 dudes doing a routine for like 15 seconds
For a
to
little tiny
move
pebble. Like
the
there's no
world's smallest rock.
consistency.
Yes.
And then another baffling change. So firebenders
Yes. Oh, this is the big
in
one.
the show
This is the big one.
just create fire. They throw a punch and a fireball comes out of your fist. That's what makes firebenders so terrifying. Is they're always dangerous. They're just always dangerous. If they move a limb at you fast enough, a fireball shoots out. That's what makes firebenders like terrifying. They're always dangerous all the time. There's very few situations in which your firebender can't just kill you with a twitch. That's what makes them terrifying. In this movie, they've decided to just completely scrap that, and firebenders can only manipulate fire that already exists around them. They cannot just create fire on their own, except there's one scene where Iroh does, and they point it out as being spectacular in some way. And then
And then they don't do
another
anything with
baffling
that.
change that we have to talk about later. The Fire Lord says that when Sozin's comet comes again, all the firebenders will be able to create fire directly out of their chi. That just is not how the show works, not even close. It is fundamentally different from that.
I do think if you were to ask me back when I saw it then, if you ask me now, I think this is, for me personally, like the most baffling change.
Yeah.
Because I do not understand it for storytelling reasons. I don't understand it artistically. I don't even understand it budget-wise. I think it's easier to show a dude punching and just CGI in a flame coming out of his fist than to have fires on set and to like blend like the virtual fire coming. Like it would be easier to do it the way in the show when you can just have fire disconnected from the world around it and just shoot
the
out
show-
whatever he wants.
Okay, so again, I have very, very little knowledge of this. I understand that, but the show addresses that. Not that, but the show addresses other benders' need to have their element nearby.
You have to have your stuff around.
In this movie,
Actually, there's an entire episode around that specific idea.
I think I might know what you're talking about, because in this movie, when the gang is out liberating Earthbenders, the Earthbenders who are enslaved are just
in the first village
in a-
they liberate in the movie. Yeah.
They're just in a forest. And so they walk in there and say, you have Earth all around you. Like, nothing's stopping you. You can break free. And then they do. In the show, there's a whole plot point around how the Fire Nation set up like an oil rig offshore that's all metal and surrounded by water so that the Earthbenders have no power.
Yes,
that was the whole freaking point.
Like throughout the show, in both this and The Legend of Korra, they go to great pains to explain exactly how hard it can be to imprison very powerful benders. Like water benders, it's literally like we have to feed them by a ladle from 20 feet away, like the smallest amount of water possible, or they could kill us. Like they establish this and they have an answer for these things. And like you said, they're on a boat. It's not an oil rig, but they're on a boat. And they're all trapped there. They're far away from Earth.
It's modeled after an oil rig. It looks like an oil rig.
It does, yeah. But the way the way they help out is rather than in the movie they just show up and say some inspiring words, and the Earthbenders are ready to Earthbend. In the TV show, it makes more sense. They like go in and like it's a coal burning engine. And they get the coal out, and the Earthbenders can use the coal as rock.
Also, it's Katara who does this.
It is. Oh no, they do Katara so dirty in the movie. She's a non.
Katara spends. Like, Katara
non-character.
willingly imprisons herself and spends like days among the Earthbenders in this prison, has the opportunity to escape and chooses not to, and instead like embeds herself among the Earthbenders in this prison in order to like slowly build up her relationship with them and build their confidence in themselves and help them to rediscover their heritage as Earthbenders and rediscover their confidence and establish their ability to overthrow their oppressors.
And then
you
also
learn
gives
so much about who Katara is and who the Earthbenders are and what they're like and the cruelty of the Firebenders and like why they are the way they are. And it's like a brilliant episode. It's a brilliant arc in the show that tells you so much about the world and how bending works and how these characters work. And it's
and like
just
what the last 100 years have been like,
and what the last 100 years have been like. And it's just completely wiped.
This, you know what? This just makes me even more angry because I have so comparatively so little knowledge of this show that what you're describing that is so important to the narrative of this universe happened before I fell asleep. Like that was something so early on in the series. That was something that was settled, decided, given to you in like the best possible way. That happened so early on that I did watch it. Like,
yeah.
But here, the reason I just want to say it's a little worse is because then in the live action movie, they're arrested, taken to a camp of Earthbenders. The Earthbenders and the non-benders are not like separated out or anything. They're just all in the same prison. The Firebenders have their one burning like fire source there in the middle of it. In my head, I remember the scene and I remember thinking how dumb it is that the Earthbenders like are just on Earth and just don't fight back for any reason. And they just kind of give them like 10 seconds of inspiring words. And then like, you know, all of a sudden they're fighting again. It's even worse. They're like in a valley. Like they are in strategically the worst place to go up against an Earthbender. They're not just on like flat
like
land.
surrounded
There
on
is
three
Earth
sides by Earth.
at all times. When they're captured, there's Earth beneath them. Where they take them to, there is also Earth around them. There's Earth on all sides of them. It is the worst
Like if this
place
were the
to
show,
put a bunch of Earthbenders.
If this were the show, one Earthbender could just stomp and just kill all of the
just
Firebenders.
mudslide,
at once.
boom, all
like
done.
Yes. Rocks fall, everyone dies, they all go home.
So it's even worse
Like
as soon as I realize that they're like in a valley and everywhere the camera turns, there is Earth. I'm like, you have to be kidding me.
Sometimes the frame is mostly filled with earth.
But no, I do think ultimately, because out of all the bending styles, I think in this movie, air and water kind of escape the most intact. They're the least butchered. Yeah. Earth is a bit butchered. Fire is, for me, the most baffling change, because I just don't, when they, because then again, when the firebenders at the end go attack the place made of ice, they have to like launch in fireballs to bend from. As a like they literally show the firebenders coming up through the ice and then launching a fireball on top of that. If you're a waterbender, you just sink it into the water.
Put out the fire.
Also, I'm skipping that.
You just wiggle your fingers, and the guys coming up through the ice just die.
Yeah,
they're just frozen. They're frozen. They suffocate, and they're dead.
You just put the fire. Also, whenever they're preparing for the attack, and the guy says before they come, we should put out as many sources of like as many lanterns as we can. My controversial opinion: put out all the lanterns. He says put out most of the lanterns, and then when they do the wide shots, every single fucking lantern is lit. They didn't put out a single lantern. They said as much fire as we can have.
Yeah,
this was the Game of Thrones. The War for Winterfell episode wasn't even around yet. They had no reason not to make that scene dark.
I'm just like when he says we need to put out as many as possible. How about put out all of them?
How about put out all of them? Someone should have spoken up there and said, "Hey, you know what? Maybe all."
They can't do anything when they attack our ice world. And by the way, we control ice.
We can literally control all water with our minds. Which is how we have withstood this war for literally 100 years.
Okay, so usual complaints. Is there any big stuff we're missing?
Katara gets done dirty, as you said.
Katara has done so incredibly dirty. She's done so much dirtier than anyone else. She's a non-character. If they cut her out, it would be better if they cut her out of this movie than what they do to her in this movie.
Hey, you know how similar that is to... You know how similar that is to Seagal movies that have a female character as like a plot device and nothing more?
It's worse. It's worse.
It's worse. Because I know the Katara who has agency and character and depth and like accomplishes things and like exists for a purpose.
They go to train.
Katara
they go to train with the Northern Water Tribe, and you don't even see her bending during a single practice. You see her bend like 3 times in the whole movie.
Would have cost more money.
Sokka/Soka, because that's also something we haven't talked about. They changed all the names for no reason.
Yeah.
I'm deeply confused by that. Apparently, it was to be, from what I remember from like a decade ago, it was to be closer to like Asian pronunciations of similar names. Whatever.
Whatever.
This is a fantasy world.
Yeah. Well,
I get it, but also I don't think it was worth it.
I think because here's the thing. Because this also extends
representation is difficult. Yeah, I get it.
But this extends to a larger, this is like a usual complaint. And I'm not going to say this is not a complaint we should talk about. I think this is an important complaint, and it has been talked about before. I just think maybe there are people who are smarter about this and have probably said more about it than we can, so I don't want to dwell on it too much, but like the whitewashing of the casting. It is very strange that this world is influenced by, it does not directly crib from any specific cultures, but very clearly is influenced by some. So it was the people took issue with the casting because it was perceived as whitewashing a lot of these roles that would have like Asian influences or Inuit influences or anything like that. So it is very strange that like of all the things you change to be closer, you do like proper nouns, like character names that are not real world words. Like they're not saying real words differently. Like especially like Ong, Soka, like Ero, like all of them. I understand what they're going for. It's strange to try to be more mindful of that and completely drop the ball in the casting area, which is the thing that is like one of the most usual complaints you hear, which I will not dwell on too much. Like I said, we're like 3 white dudes, not for us really. I don't think we're the ones to unpack that.
They changed, like there are definitely like inspirations for the different nations, and that this movie changes what the historical inspirations are for each of the nations. But I actually, in weird ways,
I do one of the
mostly the Fire Nation.
I do like what they did with the Fire Nation.
Really?
They made the Fire Nation kind of roughly approximates to like Imperial Japan in most people's interpretations. So I do like that.
I think it's like Japan, Korea.
Yeah, like Imperial Nation. And I think in the show the armor is kind of like scary Fire Nation armor. There's just dudes here dressed like samurai, and I actually think that's kind of like fun. Like to do a live action interpretation, I think that like kind of works.
Yes, but also they based a bunch of other stuff in the movie version on India.
Yes.
It's all Indian architecture and a lot of Indian actors.
No, so I would agree. I just think when Zhao shows up at the end and he's just wearing samurai armor, I'm just like, oh, I like that. But no, they definitely they muddle it way more than the show. Like the show blends. This one kind of muddles, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The one casting I will point out specifically because I feel like it needs to be pointed out is when you start off, you're in the Southern Water Tribe. This is very much like based on Arctic, like, you know, Inuit like cultures. That's typically what's meant to be understood.
Yeah.
And most of the actors there, I don't know the ethnicity of every single actor on set, but they kind of vaguely approximate like that appearance. Like they have like, you know, perhaps darker skin. Like they look like they would be a person who could live in that environment in the real world. And then Graham Grant shows up. And this lady is whiter than the snow. Like then all of a sudden Graham Grant walks out and the reason I wouldn't bring this up, except I looked her up. She's played by the actress Catherine Houghton, who has not been in a lot of movies. The other main movie, if you recognize her from, would be from the film Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. So the only other movie role you know for, she is very specifically playing a white lady. Like she plays cinema's most famous white lady. And they cast her as Gran. And when she shows up, I'm just like, that lady is white. She's whiter than me. And I
also like her only role in this movie is to just look at the camera and explain.
Yeah, she's on screen for like 5 seconds. I've talked about her longer than she's on screen.
Explain stuff wrong too, like differently than how the show works. Like she explains how the spirit world works. I'm just like, that's not.
Yes, yeah. They did baffling
different.
Change in the show. The Fire Nation like didn't fear the spirit world. Like they do a lot of actions that show they don't respect the spirit world, and they kind of have this implicit belief that they are better than it, that they can conquer it. But when they like straight up just talk to each other and they say, we fear and hate and want to destroy the spirit world, that's not true.
No, yeah.
I get how like that is what he does at the end of the movie when he takes out this fish, but it's not because they had a vendetta.
Well, in the movie, Commander Zhao, which I'm going to talk about Commander Zhao in a second, says, we are gods now, and then stabs the moonfish. What?
Yeah.
That's not his motivation in the show at all.
And then he runs away like a little
not his motivation even a little bit. Yeah, he runs away because he's like he's like the commander of the Fire Nation army, and he runs away because he's scared of fire. He's scared of the thing.
In the show, he runs away because he's afraid of a giant god koi who's come to strike retribution on him.
Well, but again, to go back to Iroh, like this is a very important moment to his character, is that he's just been jolly happy fellow. In the TV show, you get to the end, Zhao takes the fish, and he says, like, if you touch that fish, I'll deal upon you what you'd like tenfold. Like, he does this, like, I'm not joking around anymore. In this movie, he goes, don't please. Please stop. And then the guy stabs him, and then he like just vaguely shoots fire into the air. But like in the show, he is like, Zhao, I am not messing around anymore. I've been happy, goofy Iroh. Getting real right now. You're crossing the line. Yeah. And that's important. And this, he is like in a monotone, just, please don't do that. I would prefer if you didn't.
Yeah. Also, so Commander Zhao, I mentioned I kind of want to talk about him as a character and how they changed him in just like baffling ways. He's much less of a threat in the movie. He's like the main villain of the movie, basically.
Okay,
but he's just kind of a dork in the movie.
He's a little
because
in the show, he is also that in the show.
No,
but
cut
he's
that
a
out,
very
cut that out,
powerful
cut
and
that out,
scary
cut that
one
out.
of those.
Okay, he's played by Asif Manvi, and I'm not saying Asif Manvi can't do serious role as well, but he is played by Daily Show correspondent Asif Manvi, and I get a lot more Daily Show correspondent Asif Manvi than I do Commander Zhao here. Like, he just has a goofy look on his face, and he's supposed to be chiseled sideburns, like, no nonsense. Other than when he's roasting Zuko. And here, he's Daily Show correspondent Asif Manvi, I'm sorry.
And he gets the worst monologue in the whole movie when he stands up in front of all the soldiers and says, "As
Yes.
you know."
Yo, yes.
He gets an "as you know" scene. It's horrible.
As you're all
Also, he
aware
just
of all
spouts-
the
he's
stuff
doing
that
it
just
like
one of
happened,
the Daily
just
Show
for me to sum it
remotes.
up.
Just summing up the plot here to catch everyone up to speed. Here's a bunch of stuff that we changed from the show, or else we wouldn't have to explain it to you.
I did put in my
This whole
notes.
thing about Zuko not being able to wear a uniform, that's
Okay, but-
completely made up.
I did put in my notes. As you know, Prince Zuko backstory. But here's the problem, because one of the things that I'm not going to say it works super well. I'm not going to say like it's amazing or anything. But later in the movie, they do the same thing a lot better. It's one of the slightly positive things I pointed out. Because in
When he's like talking to a little kid.
yeah, in the TV show, you can get like
Yeah.
a whole episode where he like has flashbacks showing like what happened with his father, the Agni Ki.
Yeah.
And like, you get very explicitly what happened. I think, okay, we don't have time for that. We're summarizing this all into one movie. But I think like, because this is something that you don't actually get a ton of in the show. Something I think they could have done more in the show is like, we know how the top brass, we know how the Fire Nation elites like think of Zuko, but you don't get how does just the average Fire Nation civilian think of like the exiled prince.
Yeah.
Like during a war, the prince is exiled by his father for speaking out. Like people would have opinions on that. I actually think that's
You actually do get like random Earth Kingdom villagers' opinions.
You do. Yeah, because when
who
they're like
Zuko
living
is.
undercover there, like,
Yeah.
they, especially people have opinions on Iroh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I actually think when he's just like, hey kid, what do you know about the prince? They could just cut out the Zhao thing. That gives you his backstory. And it also kind of gives you like, this kid doesn't have an agenda against Zuko, but here's what he thinks about the fact that like the prince of his nation was exiled like during this war. Like that kind of works. I think that's the best way they could have done
I
that.
don't think
in
it
a
was
movie
executed
like this.
super well, but
Yeah. In concept, it works.
the idea there was good.
Yeah.
Oh, Sokka or Sokka.
Sokka.
He's just kind of boring and a non-character here.
Yeah, both Katara and Sokka they freed him from the iceberg. If they just didn't show up for the rest of the movie, it would just be such a not like.
Yeah.
They barely matter.
They freed him from the iceberg, and then they said, "We're coming with you." And then I thought, "We're coming with you to where? There's no plan yet." And Aang says, Aang says, "No, I'll just take you back to your village. Like I don't have any idea where I'm going right now. I'm just gonna try and like find my people who he doesn't fully realize are dead yet." And they say, "No, we're going with you." And it's like,
Why?
well, it's because they went with him in the show.
Yeah.
That's
basically.
it. That's the whole thing. Like, ugh.
Any other baffling changes?
I mean,
there are lots of baffling
yes,
changes.
At the very
Yeah.
close to the end there, when Katara is talking to Aang while he's meditating, and she says, "I always knew you'd return. I always knew you were real." And I'm sitting here thinking, your grandmother just told you the story of the Avatar 40 agonizing minutes ago. You didn't always know anything.
I don't know if this doesn't.
Also, when was that a plot point that you were in doubt about his identity as the
Never!
Avatar? Like, that never came up.
The part about that scene that I thought is funny is that he says like, "I need to start meditating," and maybe this is just because this happens in the show, but he starts meditating, and like 3 seconds later, she's like, "Aang, I don't know if you can hear me." I'm like, he just can you give
He
him
just
a second?
sat down.
But in the
He
show,
also-
he literally sits down, tries to start meditating, and then like Yue and Katara and like Sokka are like whispering, and he's just like, "Hey, can I have a little quiet here?" Like it's a funny moment.
yeah.
Actually,
Can I ask-
yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask, in the show, does he start meditating like right as the war begins? Does he not prepare ahead of time?
That is actually pretty close to what happens in the
Yeah,
show.
that's actually
Really?
So the reason that happens is because he's getting desperate.
yeah.
He doesn't
Okay.
know what to do.
Like he just goes.
so he's-
is there a spiritual
that makes
place?
sense. That makes sense. What happens in this movie is that war starts and he
So-
says, "Oh shoot, I forgot to go meditate. I should probably go
Yeah.
do that."
So here's kind of the connective tissue between the show and the movie is that throughout the first season of the show, Aang is agonizing with his identity as the Avatar. Not for the reasons that they give in the movie, but just it's a massive responsibility.
And he's 12.
And he's 12. Like in the show, it's explained that they told Aang early, like the airbending masters who discovered that, Aang is the Avatar, told him earlier than they were supposed to because they knew that there was going to be a war soon. And so they pushed responsibility of Avatar on him earlier than he was actually ready for it. And that's why he ran away from home. In the movie, they
Yeah, they don't explain that at all.
don't really explain why he ran away from home. The whole ceremony where everyone bows to you and you bow back, that's completely made up. That's not, I don't know where that came from. There's no ceremony in the show. But he just is terrified because he's being given, this responsibility of being, like the Dalai Lama, but more important. And he runs away from home and he almost dies. And so he spends the first season just like coming to terms with that decision he made 100 years ago, that because he's responsible for the war as far as he's concerned. Like he's responsible for 100-year stalemate.
But there's like a very clever mix where it's that, but also like he's trying to hide that. Like he is trying, like he was a goofy kid playing with his friends. They told him he's the Avatar. His friends are like, we can't play with you anymore. You're the Avatar. So it's a mix of agonizing over that, like having this blame of him running away, like leading to not just the war, but the genocide of like everyone he's ever known, like his entire people. Heavy stuff. But also like when he wakes up, the first thing he says is like, hey, do you want to go penguin sledding with me? Like he's kind of like, can I just pretend to be like a kid again? Where I'm not thrust into power like by these people, but he's still thrust in that situation.
He's a super
regardless.
fun kid in the show, and in the movie he's just like boring and avoidant. I don't know how he's supposed to be characterized in the movie.
He just looks into the camera and looks like he's going to start crying. Like every single scene. He just looks like he's about to start crying.
Yeah. Poor kid.
Yeah.
One last baffling choice. They replaced Avatar Roku with Avatar Roku's dragon.
Well,
is there not a dragon talking dragon in the show?
There is a dragon. The dragon is silent. Instead, Aang spends a lot of like all those scenes where he like goes into the spirit world and talks to somebody. He talks to his past self, the Avatar before him.
Oh.
He talks to his own previous reincarnation, who was there like as the Fire Nation was planning to start the war.
Who was like friends with the guy. He was friends with the guy
that started the war. Dragon.
Yeah, he and the guy who started the war were best friends. And so Roku has a ton of insights into how the Fire Nation thinks and like why the war started and what's been going on in the world since Aang went into the iceberg. And so Aang goes to Roku for guidance and wisdom in a way that nobody else he knows can provide him with that guidance and wisdom, because the only two people traveling with him are other children who don't know nothing because they lived on an iceberg their entire lives.
I mean, but it's also he gives them the guidance that not even like his friends can't give him. Like literally no other human being on this planet could. Yeah. Because in this he's a composite character. This also takes scenes from when he meets with like the faceless, the face stealer co. This takes that the monk guy that I forget his name, but the fun like monk guy that helps him unlock his chi or whatever. It takes conversations from a bunch and they make it this dragon,
which is from season 2, but whatever. Yeah.
But
yeah, definitely.
Why not just make it Roku? You can even do the composite character thing. I get that he can't meet 4 different characters. Like, let's composite character, make it one. That makes sense. Why not just make it Roku? Like you said, so that reinforces that the Avatar is more than just bending all 4 elements. He also has this connection to his past lives. Like, you have that element of, hey, this is the guy. Even if you don't get to it in this movie, even if if this movie was better and got a sequel, even if you don't get to it till the sequel, you have like, oh, now he's meeting with this guy who had a relationship with the guy who would start the war. But also not just that, like the fact that everyone kind of hates the Fire Nation, like Fire Nation's doing war against everybody, but this guy, his past life, Aang, before he was born, was from the Fire Nation, because it's not just he knows Roku, he is Roku. Like there is also that element of just like, not even the Fire Nation's evil. Last Avatar is from the Fire Nation and he tried to stop the war.
That's a big theme in season 3, where they spend a lot of time in the Fire Nation. He's like, a lot of my best friends were from the Fire Nation. I don't know what's going on.
Like, I don't think there's any downside to making it Roku. Why did they invent generic Dragon Spirit, which would be budgetarily and time-wise harder to do than a guy with a beard standing there?
And if you really wanted to, you could still have your big CGI dragon, which you barely can see. He has a dragon
in the show. You can have his dragon, his animal companion there. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand what was going on in those scenes, so that makes more sense.
Yeah, so the dragon in the show never talks.
Got it.
It's just like a dragon. It's just there. Yeah,
it's just a big dragon. It's just a dragon.
It's his Appa. Like every Avatar has like a spirit, has an animal companion.
Yeah,
and it's dragon, and it's cool. But yeah, so that's Baffling Change. Baffling Change. We kind of talked about it slightly before this, but like. The show is a mix of serious themes that are fun to chew on, even as a kid and as an adult, and also fun humor. It is like a laugh out loud funny show.
It's very fun.
Baffling Change. What if we did Avatar: The Last Airbender? none of the comedic relief, none of the lighthearted, none of the fun? What if we take this show that is serious and fun, take all that fun right out, and you have the movie? Aang is like a joyless, just husk of a character. But like, it's not just I want him to be funny to make funny jokes. That's a part of who he is. That makes him a richer character.
It's a major part of his, because that's the part
That
of
is
him
like
that
his
he
conflict.
likes.
That all of this is happening, and
you
he is
remove
also
the-
12.
So they removed the central conflict from the character and had to replace it with a different central conflict, which was weaker, because the central conflict in the show is I'm a goofy, funny kid who loves having fun and people like hanging out with me, and now I am the Pope and there's a war coming and I'm literally the only person alive who can mediate peace, and I am 12.
Yes.
And that is terrifying. And in the show, it's all my friends had to bow down to me. I didn't like that.
Yeah. Like, why does he
That's
run away in
literally-
the movie?
I,
They don't give him a reason to run away.
no.
This is a small one, but the way they reveal the fact that Appa can fly, it sucks.
Just floating.
Yeah, that in this, they're like, how are we ever going to catch him? And they go outside and Appa's just floating, and they're like, oh, I guess that thing can fly. Also, the Appa in this looks like an abomination.
That
That
was
is
something I put in my
disgusting, yeah.
notes. They did Appa dirty, both in like storytelling about him as like a character in the show, and also just the way that he looks. I don't know why they did it the way they did.
But like, it wouldn't even take any more time. The way they reveal Appa can fly in the show is that they're just like, Appa's swimming. They're like swimming Appa back to the village, like after they find him in the iceberg. And Aang's like, oh, Appa can fly. Appa, yip yip. And Appa just doesn't fly. And so Sokka's like, this kid's full of it. And then when they're going to track down Aang, Katara and Sokka take on him, and Sokka's like, oh, what did you say? Yeehaw, let's go, yip yip. And then like Appa flies. And like Sokka's like in complete disbelief. It wouldn't take any more time than it really took to establish this, because they show them swimming back, and like, but that shows there's more to this Aang kid. Like, he is the goofy 12-year-old, but also like this species we thought was extinct actually does have these powers he's talking about.
And
like,
so this is not so much a baffling decision, but something that I don't think was intentional in the way that the movie was made, but really, really cheapens the way the movie works. So in the show, Aang, even when he's not doing Avatar stuff, even when he's just an airbender, is to many adults in the show terrifying, because he's this 12-year-old kid who is, even if he could only bend air, even if he was only an airbender, is one of the most skilled martial artists in the world. Like, he is incredible at airbending. He was like, that's one of the things that marked him out as the Avatar among airbenders. He's like the youngest airbending master ever. That's what those tattoos are supposed to represent, is that he like is an airbending master. He's considered one of the greatest in his time 100 years ago. And now no one has seen airbending in 100
you
years.
literally have
And
to
he
invent
is-
a new move nobody's ever done before to get those tattoos.
Yes,
Like, you just
yeah,
have to
you have to
make
invent a
new
completely new
technique.
technique.
You have to like invent a new
Yeah.
punch, basically.
Yeah. So throughout the show,
Wait.
Like a
I thought you just
full-grown
had
adult.
to meditate really hard, and they just happened. That's what the movie told me. You just got to meditate really hard, and your tattoos just sort of spawn onto your skin.
no. But throughout the show,
Zach's just giving
like-
me eyes.
full-grown adults are terrified of Aang because he is legitimately dangerous and like legitimately scary, and that is just a fascinating. That's one of the reasons I love the show, is that he as a character is just fascinating because he can vacillate from goofy nonsense too. So like in the final siege, well, as he's trying to figure out, he doesn't know what to do. He's confused. He's like running out of options. And so he just flies out over the ocean and lands on these ships and is single-handedly taking down battleships without the Avatar state, just using airbending and some waterbending that he learned. Like before he learns how to go Super Saiyan, this 12-year-old is single-handedly taking down warships. And he like flies back and he's exhausted. One of the reasons he goes to the spiritual place, that grotto, is because he's like, I am just one person. And I've taken out like literally a dozen warships on my own, and there are still just hundreds more. I can't do this. I don't know what to do. That's how dangerous he is, that he can do that. And that is shown again and again throughout the show. And here, he's just ineffectual. He doesn't do much. There's no reason to believe that he would be like the tipping point in this war. He's not shown to be effective at really anything.
No, truly. He goes to
It makes a big
meditate.
wave, and then that big wave doesn't do anything. It just goes right back into the ocean.
I understand why they couldn't do the giant ocean kaiju. I get it. But
No, he turns into Godzilla and cuts a warship in half with his hand.
With one
Wait,
sword.
what?
He turns into
Yes.
a giant water Godzilla, just made out of water, goes through and just like, but he just,
And-
like, walks through the whole village, just like boom, 50 soldiers swept in the ocean. Boom, 50 soldiers swept in the ocean. Goes to the biggest warship, cuts it in half, it explodes, and then all this, and then he does like a big wave to just send the rest flying.
So in the
I
show,
get why they couldn't do that for budget.
when
That would
he
be
turns
so much
into-
cooler.
when he turns into Godzilla, the waterbenders stop fighting
They
and
just
just they kowtow, they bow to like Avatar Aang, to the giant koi Godzilla, because they're so confident that the battle is over now, and like the spiritual being has come among them.
Mm-hmm.
He is like deified. That's how powerful Aang is in the show.
But it's even more than that, because that's also there's a reason it's a koi Godzilla, is because like the one fish has been killed and the other koi is literally just like, you can tell he's like, let me help you, let me lend you some of my power. So he like
He
communes
becomes
with
an avatar of the ocean.
Yeah, that like you have the ocean and the moonfish. They kill the moonfish. So the ocean fish is literally like, hey, you want the power of the ocean? Like,
Do you want to be the
you wanna
ocean for a
be
little
the
bit?
Ocean. Do you want the power of the god of oceans?
That's the power of the Avatar, and we just never see anything close to
But
that.
here he
in
meditates
this
for
movie.
a bit. He gets kidnapped.
I need to watch the show.
He gets freed. He
And
like
not fall
knocks
asleep.
around like 10 dudes.
so good.
And then he stands there
Yeah.
until he does like the big wave, where he kind of just shows how big the wave can be and then puts it down very gently.
And they all turn around and go
And they
home.
just said, okay, that's enough of that, and then go home.
Now you do see Commander Zhao get drowned, like
Oh my
on
gosh.
screen. You
Okay,
watch
so
him
this
die.
is the one thing I said to Zach, or I said to both of you when we first started this. Watching this movie, I'm surprised that you guys have anything about it that you do like, because there was one singular thing that I was like, oh,
Okay,
wait
yeah,
a
hit
minute.
me.
So,
We'll go to the stuff we like section now.
You like hot dogs, right?
Hi, everybody. This is your editor, Aaron, speaking. Thank you for listening to part 1 of our The Last Airbender show, our episode. Tune in next time, please, to hear part 2 when we get into the actual review part and the stuff we liked. So thank you for listening, and see you next time.